Hey guys, namaste.
Namaste.
This is George here.
And SKYE.
We're in Kopangan running our Sajeeva yoga teacher training right now at the yoga house, and we're having an amazing time with teaching the lessons, experiencing also the practice still as we're always changing too, and seeing how our students are transforming, because that's what this is about.
And today is International Yoga Day, so we thought we'd make a video with each person's experience and how they found yoga and give their unique perspective. So that's what you're about to watch.
Hopefully you find something that vibes with you, and you can get more into your practice also.
So I started dancing from a really young age, and started doing more and more dancing. And then when I was about 11, it started being quite serious. So I was dancing most days of the week and holidays, and then I went to full-time training when I was 18 for 3 years. And I spent so much time just looking at my body and what was wrong with it, and where it needed to be, where it wasn't, when it was injured, just berating my body and constantly analysing it, and then developed a really toxic relationship with my body, which I think a lot of people did as well. And when I came out of training, I was totally disillusioned. I just felt like I was in a war zone with my body. So I stopped dancing for a year, and then I started doing yoga practice, and it brought me back. It brought peace into the war zone that I was in, and stopped me analysing my body, and then I started noticing my body and was able to take away the toxicity that was in that relationship, and the poison just sort of slowly seeped out of it, and I could start to accept my body and enjoy my body and give it what it needed. So that is what yoga has done for me.
Well, my journey to self-discovery started the day that my daughter took me to my first yoga session. It came about because I'd had 30 years of inactivity and just aches and pains and not really knowing why I was feeling so bad. And eventually I got a diagnosis of a really bad autoimmune disease. And my daughter had been away, and she came back and she took one look at me and she said, "No, we're going to yoga, we're going tomorrow." So I said, okay. So off we went. I always thought, yoga, well, that's an old granny's thing. But boy, was I wrong. It really, really challenged me. It opened my mind. It did all the things that I really, really needed at that time. And the next day I woke up, I was exhausted, I was really sore, but my daughter said, "Get out of bed, we're going," and off we went. And I just carried on going and going and going, and it really and truthfully has given me my life back. It's sort of given me zest for life. I'm finding myself, I'm getting my personality back, I'm getting my strength back, my mental capacity is a little better, even though I'm a bit emotional, but that's also a good thing, because I think maybe I kept them all in. So that's my story. I'm so blessed to be able to see things that I never saw before because of yoga. That's me. Thank you.
I came to yoga for like the most banal of all reasons, like lower back pain. And yeah, so I came just for back pain. And the yoga started to address that. It didn't get rid of it, but it's no longer chronic, it's no longer a constant companion. But I stayed for other reasons. I stayed because I found myself becoming gentler in my interactions with other people and the world around me. I stayed because I like the whole vibe of going to do yoga, the people there. And I'm not normally one for being in a room full of like-minded people. I find that idea generally repellent. But with yoga I found it something really sweet. I fell into it deep and I ended up here, you know. I mean, I came prematurely to this yoga teaching training just because I wanted to have the immersion of being here. And yoga's helped me with a lot of things. You know, I've had behavioural issues with drink and drugs. I still have those issues, but yoga's helped them a lot. Yoga definitely shored up my convictions about adopting a vegan diet. I'm not sure, had I not been involved with yoga, I'm not sure if I would have had the strength of those convictions to see it through. To the point where I am now, which is where all the humps are gone. I'm good to go. You know, I no longer feel like, oh, you know, bacon or anything. So yeah, yoga got me over that hump, it got me over back pain, it's helping me with addictive issues. So, you know, it's win-win for me. What can I say? Thank you.
Hello. So, I first fell in love with movement actually at a young age, and my yoga interest first sprouted from that. Actually, going back a little bit later, or earlier rather, when I was 4, I was actually very physically inept. I had a hard time even balancing on one leg for more than an instant. I was chose last or not at all, if possible, in gym class, and they wanted to put me in special classes for my lack of physicality and like this. And I first started martial arts. That was when I was 4, my first introduction to movement and also discipline. And through that, also self-study. I sort of opened up to self-study and physical efforts in general in disciplines. And when I was 12, I was invited to the Junior Olympics and started to do a lot different training. I decided not to do the fundraising to go to the Olympics because we had some subjectivity in the sport that we were trying to avoid. So we moved to more combat arts like boxing and things like this, more like knockout based and more objective. And in that process, we needed to do a lot different learning, move our head, all these different types of training. So I had the option of leaving my school and finding a teacher that could teach that or bringing some of that in. So at 12 years old, I read a Bruce Lee book, and Bruce Lee introduced me by casualty to meditation, which he called mind control, and exercise and nutrition. These were 3 of the pyramid triangle foundation that made Bruce Lee the incredible athlete and person and being and philosopher and inspirer, motivator that he was. So I recently got into those 3 things, exercise, nutrition, and also meditation. I was blessed with that at 12 through this martial path. And by the time I found yoga for the first time, I was 16. And by then I was already actually bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding for a few years. I was very strong in my body. I was still doing competitive martial arts, very hard in that, but also very flexible. And I had the meditation also happening from Buddhism when I was 12. So I did begin to hold this balance of hard and soft. And at 16 I started yoga mostly because of silly things like putting my leg behind an opponent's head in a jiu-jitsu match, and it helped to have open hips. So it came from probably the most opposite thing that you could think of a yoga function coming from, was to not only be separate but to attack. And though it was in this peaceful place, I was never really an angry person. But the meditation had shown me a lot, and I did have some anger in my household and things like this. So it was, I could see the value because I had a contrast of the hard against the soft, and I really felt devoted to what love is at a young age. And also had a respect for still the hard. I really liked doing the very physical things and like this, but I also really appreciated love, respect, truth, things like this. So by the time I found yoga at first for mobility and basically to up my competitive advantage, I also saw that it fit in really well with the theme of things that I've been newly devoted to, or actually for the last few years, for the last 4 years leading up, of this calmness, this love, this thing like this, and basically coming into our center, all the stuff that Bruce Lee was calling mind control, you know, taming the mind and getting out of your own way quite a bit. And also I saw people close in my family that had arthritis and other diseases, and I saw sort of the physio-emotional aspects that created this anger that was held as tension in the body that later became rheumatoid arthritis and things like this, and a general lack of wellness in mind and peace. So I entered yoga, and at first I went to like hot yoga classes and things like this. It was still very physical, but some of the teachers were just pointing at something bigger, and I didn't know where the source of this thing was, but it was clearly something I wanted more of. So I went to more and more classes and became less and less about the stretching and the challenge and the sweating and the hot classes, and more about what are they pointing at? I want more of that. Where's the source? And it kept evolving and expanding into something deeper. And it was probably 4 years ago, I moved to Thailand, and there I started training yoga more deeply, and shortly after got my yoga teacher training certification, and that actually was the opening of the door to the whole thing. That was like the 101 of yoga that showed me the deeper stuff that they were always pointing at in their quick little bursts, that they were the little nuggets of wisdom that some teachers would offer in class. From that space, it really transformed into something truly deep and much bigger than the body. And if you look at my Facebook pictures, just 6 years ago, before I really sort of hit that point, you can see a stark difference between who I was then and who I am there now. You would see somebody much more egoic, much more hard, and you can feel a wall between me and other. There's a facade, there's a need to present, there's a trying much harder and things like this, whereas now it's opened into an openness and inclusivity and more sensitivity and care and kindness and gentleness, and being able to be very vulnerable and see that as a strength and hold strength in vulnerability and vulnerability in strength. And it just keeps getting deeper and bigger and broader, and becomes less and less about the physical body, though it also tones and opens and improves the feeling in the body and also the performance of the body. And everything generally gets clearer and lighter, more beautiful, more open, more connected, more forgiving. And the fruits are endless. I don't think that I will reach them anytime in this lifetime, and I'm thankful for that. It's a path that has no end, but continues giving the entire time, and I'm deeply grateful, and I hope that everybody can benefit to some degree from engaging with yoga. I think it's extremely gifting, it's always giving, and it's actually what's underneath you. And when I look at all the lessons I've learned in my life as I've been inspecting truth and inspecting love and doing things like meditation, once I learn more about yoga or hear some scriptures or some talks or practice with high-level teachers and things, I'm hearing truths that I discovered very slowly on my own and had to do a lot of work to find. And yoga's pointing at all these things from the beginning. So it's a gift we've been given. It's here in this world, and if you're hearing this video or you have access to yoga, you have the karma to have that gift. You've been doing what it takes in whatever way to receive this opportunity, and I highly encourage you to take it. It would be beneficial for you and everybody. So thank you for listening, and blessings to you.
So I first came to yoga because I was having reoccurring niggly injuries and because of dance practice, and yoga kind of sorted out those imbalances really quite quickly and in like quite a sustained way. So I thought, oh, there's really something in this. Why yoga is because yoga helps me to really meet myself where I am, and it's capacity building on a bigger level. It builds community and just a really beautiful way to be with other people.
I found myself in a space where I was totally out of alignment with who I am and what I love and what my passions were and are. Sort of out of touch with emotions and any sort of sense of feelings or anything like that. And it was just a bad space to be in. I felt a bit sort of indifferent or just disconnected. And during this time I remember coming across or seeing something that sort of stirred something within me. It was quite profound, and it was sort of as if a path had been laid out before me, and that path was pretty much to come back to myself and to find out who I truly am and be happy and find bliss and all of that. And this could all be experienced through the practice of yoga. To be content. And it just sort of got me going on that direction and gave me a drive to go forward with that. And something that I work towards every day and start each day with gratitude and end each day with gratitude, and it's a whole way of life, and the way forward is through the practice of yoga. Namaste.
Hi guys, so I'm here to share about my journey into yoga. And I started when I was kind of young for what most people would consider, at least at that time. We think usually yogis is like middle-aged people, or mostly more women, but really anybody who's coming to yoga is because they have something in their life that they're trying to change. And things I was trying to change was I just felt really unmotivated and not a lot of enthusiasm. So I was in college at the time, and I didn't know what I was really doing with my energy. I was third year in college and starting to feel like it's getting me nowhere, actually. And I decided that I needed to do something to change. And when I turned 21, actually, was just somehow I decided this time I'm going to change. And I tried some different things, but really what it came down to was trying yoga. I tried running first. I hate running. At that time I hated running, but now I can enjoy it. I tried some other fitness things, couldn't get into that. I tried a little bit of meditation, don't understand, can't get into that. So I ended up looking up yoga poses on the internet and just trying by myself to do some yoga poses. And this really revealed a lot to me about how I was behaving, how my body was. And what it revealed to me a lot was I felt more energetic after doing those things. And this is what happens with everybody in some ways. We all want to have more energy. we all want to feel more alive and more energetic, because that makes our emotions higher, that makes us able to do things that are fun, to enjoy life. But there's a lot of fear about doing some things, because it seems like you're going to lose energy to do those things. But not everything is just the energy loss, because when you do it, it changes you somehow to do that thing. So even though initially it seems like maybe I have to put some energy out to do this thing, it conditions you to be able to work with more energy, or to accumulate more energy somehow. So very quickly, it went from struggling in some few simple poses I was trying to do once in the morning and once in the evening, to feeling incredibly energetic and being able to do more, and eventually loving all of the other things that I tried, but I didn't like at that time. Right? So the running, I actually love running now. If I have the opportunity to run, I do it. I love rock climbing. After I started yoga practice, it was like being reborn again in a way. I started just like experimenting in as many ways as I could to be energized and athletic, or philosophical or intellectual. I started just pushing myself in more ways to experience what life had to offer. Whereas before it was kind of like living in a cozy little shell. And maybe for some time you feel safe and nice there, but you start to feel cramped. You start to feel like this is just a prison for you, and you need to do something to break out of it. This is why it's fearful, because we're scared we're going to lose something, we're going to lose our comfort zone. But I promise you, you can only expand your comfort zone and just find yourself more comfortable in more situations, in different settings, and bigger until your comfort zone is everything. Your comfort zone is the earth, your comfort zone is whoever's around, your comfort zone is your life. So I went from kind of really depressed situation to inspired and totally enthusiastic. And even though outwardly my actions, I dropped out of college, and to some people that would seem like, whoa, big failure, you know, going wrong direction now. For me, totally right decision, because I took more in charge of my life. I began to work with my energy and like expand this energy, and this led me just step by step to more and more beautiful things, until now I'm a yoga teacher, and I am passionate about teaching yoga for the last 8 or 9 years. I see so many beautiful things happening with people around me because of yoga knowledge, because of the connections that it brings people together. And today, for example, we shared yoga with the local kids here across the street. And I think some of them really felt a nice experience from that. Seeing them meditate, looking peaceful, seeing them smiling, trying to balance in the pose together. It's amazing what yoga can do. And what I hope everybody will see in the yoga practice is that there are more benefits than you can be aware of. You may have an idea of thinking what yoga can do for you, or what it is, or what it's not. I promise you it's more than that. You might think, I want to go in and lose weight. Please go in with that intention. But I promise you, keep going after you lose the weight, and you're going to find it's even more special. And not in an ego kind of way, but you will fall more in love with your life. I don't mean yourself, I mean with your life. You'll feel more engaged and more happy to serve this life. Everybody here is having some purpose or reason, and that gives a lot of our happiness. Right? Before I didn't have so much purpose, I felt really depressed. Then I found yoga, and I felt because of this thing is making me feel so good, I need to help people to also wake up that way. Then I had purpose, and then the happiness just keep growing and growing. And this process is really amazing, because your purpose is come from inside of you. And this process, you don't need the external things to be happy. Less and less you need the external things. More and more you feel your happiness come from the inside of you. So situations have come since I started getting into yoga, where before I may have been really struck by those situations, really hit hard or sad about something that happens. But now I see faster and faster the turnaround. It's getting easy. Even if something that before would have been very difficult, now I see it more like just another challenge, opportunity to grow, a way to help people, a way to learn something. So this is my understanding, my experience of practice, and I hope everybody can experience something like this. Yoga is also not just the poses you see, the breathing exercises you see. It's a way of conducting yourself. You keep good moral conduct, you keep good personal conduct, you hold your body well, and you breathe nice, smooth, even breathing. Then life is good. Right? If you can do this much, your life is good. We have yoga techniques, special techniques, that make it a little bit easier to get there. They're kind of actually like a crutch, if you really think about it. If you need special crutches to be able to walk smoothly, please take crutches. Some people don't need crutches. Some people are very elevated without using any special practice or techniques. But one more promise I'll make to you is anybody can go higher. Anybody can be more free. And this does take some effort.
Like most people, I first came to yoga for just relaxation and a good stretch. I have a very demanding job in New York City, which I love, but at the same time, the long hours, the constant travel, and just the competitiveness always, create pressure, and I feel myself always anxious and stressed out. So that's when I realized when I come to the yoga mat, I'm not just building a good stretch, but also discipline through all the postures, the breathing exercise, and meditation. I feel that I have more flexibility and strength, not just in my body, but also in my concentration, which allows me to, just go face everyday's challenges with more confidence and more strength. I cannot wait to share the benefits of yoga with all my friends and my coworkers.
Cool.
For me, yoga is like see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, and kind of like BBC, like breathing, balancing, and concentration. Before coming to this class, actually, I just want to do all this pose and get it done. After that, when I came to this class, right, it's like I get to know myself from inside out. Everything that is amazing, so knowledgeable that I got all this concentration. I know my body better. It's really an amazing journey. That's it.
What up?